Vladimir Putin has a secret, and the key to it lies here, on the shores of Lake Valdai, somewhere between Moscow and St. Petersburg. This is one of Putin's many private estates. It has its own train station. You can see housing blocks, hangars, mansions, roads, and several anti-aircraft systems. But wait, what's this? That kinda looks like a playground. And over here, is that a go-kart track? Putin has 2 daughters, but they're both around 40. He divorced his wife over a decade ago and hasn't been seen with another woman in public since. He always shows up alone at official events. There's no record or statement from the Kremlin that he might have had more kids. So, what's going on? They're like secret agents. They have their cover documents issued for different names. They are kept secret. They just flying below the radar. Some journalists were bold enough to dig deeper. Does Putin have 2 secret sons? Who are they? And why is the Kremlin working so hard to keep them invisible? Putin is believed to own many properties all across Russia. A luxury ski lodge, a lakeside cabin, a lavish Black Sea complex, and what many believe is his unofficial seat of power, a countryside estate in a Moscow suburb called Novo-Ogayovo. There are offices and rooms for state business. Barack Obama visited Putin here several times during his presidential tenure. There's a steam room, saunas, a swimming pool, and a private gym. It's also where Putin's daughters are set to live, Katerina and Maria, from his marriage with Lyudmila Putina. There are rumors the premises also include a retirement residence for his former wife, right next to Putin's private railway station. His armored train just left. Putin is heading north to his new family, the one he's trying to keep in the shadows. So, my name is Ilya Rozhdestensky. I am a reporter for the Dossier Center, and I'm an author of an investigation about Putin's sons. Ilya's research is the backbone of this video. As always, a link is in the description. He's a Russian investigative journalist. Quite a dangerous job. So, full disclosure, I left Russia 3.5 years ago, few months before the war started. I was designated as a foreign agent, one of the first foreign agents that were designated in Russia. So, Russian Minister of Justice decided that I look like an enemy of the state. Russia's so-called foreign agent law is one of Putin's sharpest tools for suppressing dissent. Any journalist deemed to be under foreign influence can be slapped with the label. It's vague by design. Once an individual or organization is declared a foreign agent, life for them becomes almost impossible. Critics of the Kremlin and the war on Ukraine are the most affected. Reporters Without Borders currently ranks Russia 171 out of 180 on the Global Press Freedom Index. In July 2025, the NGO counted 35 journalists in Russian prisons. Many others have been murdered. When you're in a constant danger, you get used to it. Ilya is potentially risking his life by doing his job. But that didn't stop him from starting a new investigation 4 years ago. And it all started with this woman. Everyone in Russia knows her. Alina Kabaeva, multiple-time Russian, European, and world champion in rhythmic gymnastics. This is her at the 2004 Summer Olympics, where she will win gold for Russia. She's a national icon. The entire country adores her. After the games, she and other Olympians are invited for a presidential meet and greet. It's not the first time Putin and Kabaeva are seen together. They were photographed in 2001 at the Russian Cup. Then in 2008, the Russian newspaper Moskovsky Korrespondenti publishes this article. The authors claim Putin has secretly separated from his wife Lyudmila, and that he's already planning a new wedding with then 24-year-old athlete Kabaeva. Putin is attending a formal event in Italy when the story breaks, so he can't escape Western journalists pressing him for answers. He insists not a single word is true. Then he lashes out at anyone, quote, sticking their snotty noses and erotic fantasies into other people's lives. The Kremlin reacts fast, and the response is surprisingly harsh. So the newspaper was shut down in a day or two, probably, and it was probably the first and the last time when Vladimir Putin commented on the story. Putin had already been limiting press freedom since taking office in 2000, forcing several outlets under state control. But shutting down an entire newspaper overnight? That was new. The first version of the foreign agent law was introduced in 2012 in response to mass demonstrations protesting the 2011 parliamentary elections. In 2017, it was extended to cover media outlets. Putin's crackdown on press freedom was in full swing. So it's way worse now. You can spend your whole life in prison for reporting. Back in 2008, the only consequences for reaction could be that your newspaper would be shut down, and that's it. Dozens of journalists and media outlets are forced into exile, from TV channel Dost and independent news website Medusa to the research network Dossier Center that Ilya works for. But it seems that dissidents are not even safe in exile. Amnesty has documented at least 3 poison gas attacks on Russian journalists living abroad. According to Reporters Without Borders, at least 37 journalists have been murdered in Russia since 2011. Today, Russian media collectively speak with one voice: Putin's. But even in a system built on secrecy and control, not everything can stay hidden. In 2013, Putin and Lyudmila publicly announced that they're living in separate homes. The divorce follows soon after. In the meantime, Kabaeva has become a member of parliament for Putin's United Russia party. In 2014, she's appointed chair of the board of directors at Russia's largest media conglomerate, NGM. And Ilya says her relationship with Putin has long become an open secret. It was just pure common knowledge that Alina Kabaeva and Vladimir Putin, that they are together. But no one seemed to know anything about secret children. Not in Russia or anywhere else in the world. Not until 2015, when a Swiss newspaper breaks a very interesting story. Another interesting Swiss article is published in 2022. Reporters claim Alina Kabaeva gave birth at a private clinic in the Swiss city of Lugano. For Ilya, this is where the real investigation begins. As a former KGB agent, Putin surely knows the value of privacy. If nobody can find his family, then nobody can hurt them. Most of us don't live under that kind of scrutiny, but our private data is still exposed online. Names, addresses, shopping habits, even health records. Data brokers bundle and sell it to advertisers, insurance companies, or anyone willing to pay. That's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in. Incogni automatically tracks down your exposed data across the web and uses privacy laws to get it deleted. The less information out there, the harder it is for companies or bad actors to build a profile on you. They've even added custom removals, which let you target specific sites where your data shows up. And unlike most similar services, Incogni has independent third-party verification that it actually does what it claims to do. Incogni is offering Fern viewers 60% off with the code FernTV. Protect yourself from identity theft and head over to incogni.com/FernTV or just scan this QR code. Personally, protecting our privacy is a huge priority for us. And most fundamentally, we should all be careful what we share online. No service can offer a 100% guarantee. This is the private clinic in Lugano at the center of the story. It's considered one of Switzerland's most renowned maternity hospitals. Working here was Natalia Thibaud, a Russian gynecologist who emigrated to Switzerland over 30 years ago. Having a Russian doctor by her side during labor might have been helpful for Alina Kabaeva. Ilya thinks the Swiss newspaper report is legit, and he wants to know more. Who exactly did Alina Kabaeva give birth to? And could Vladimir Putin really be the father? Ilya starts by digging through leaked flight records from Russian airlines. That's how he discovers that Kabaeva and Thibaud did in fact travel together in 2014, 2015, 2018, and 2019. Always back and forth between Russia and Switzerland. The timeline suggests that Kabaeva may have given birth to 2 children, roughly 4 years apart. But the alleged sons of the Russian leader are like ghosts. So, what is important to understand about these children is that they left no traces. No traces in Russian databases, in open registries, anywhere. So I was digging into the story for a year and a half. And by the summer of 2023, I had absolutely nothing. But then, by the accident, I get financial documents from one of the companies that works for Vladimir Putin. Ilya gains access to a massive cache of financial records, all tied to a complicated web of companies linked to Vladimir Putin. Many of these firms handle payments to construction companies, workers, and security guards. And some of these expenses look suspicious. Ilya finds transactions tied to Putin's pilots, yacht staff, teachers, and dog trainers. Hundreds of people on the payroll. He starts reaching out, and one of them is actually ready to talk. Now he has a direct line to someone inside, an informant working directly on one of Putin's private estates, someone close to the family. His source confirms the existence of the playground. It was built for Putin's grandchildren, though. His daughter's kids. But there's more. His source also confirms that there are 2 other kids living on the property. 2 boys. Their names? Ivan and Vladimir Putin Jr. Finally, some proof. The secret sons are real. Ilya even has photos, but he's chosen not to publish them. Ivan is 10, Vladimir Jr. is 6. And just as expected, they live at the Lake Valdai estate. After 4 hours of travel, Putin's armored train pulls into a deserted platform. A helicopter is already waiting. From here, it's just a short flight to the estate, where his sons are hidden away from the outside world. The lake covers 19 square kilometers. It's known for the Iversky Monastery. And this, right next to it, appears to be an anti-aircraft missile system. Here's another one. And here, 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 and here. The entire area is ringed with them. The roads, housing blocks, and luxury mansions stretch from here to here, for more than 3 kilometers along the eastern shore of the lake. Ilya's source on the ground says Putin now spends more time here than in the Kremlin. That has been confirmed independently by another verified contact. This place may well be Putin's new and unofficial seat of government. There's only one road in. It leads to a massive gate and a huge parking lot. On Google Maps, 80 out of 100 spots are filled. Lots of people, like guards, protecting Vladimir Putin and his family. Personal assistants who work with Arina Kabayeva and Vladimir Putin himself. People who are responsible for the food, cleaning service. Then there would be some people responsible for the vessels. Then there are teachers. Then there are maids. And I mean, hundreds of them. Most of the staff are probably working in this area. Anyone visiting or interacting closely with the family has to quarantine here first. For 2 to 3 weeks, according to Ilya's source. Putin introduced a protocol during the pandemic and must have simply kept it. He's known to be extremely cautious about personal safety. Ilya believes Ivan and Vladimir Putin Jr. live in this house. He says they recently relocated from this building, the so-called presidential villa. This is what the interior is set to look like. Ivan and Vladimir Jr. live strange, isolated lives. They're surrounded by staff all day. Nannies, private tutors, and bodyguards. Ilya found some of the job listings on EnglishNanny.org. The boys can go go-karting whenever they want. They have tons of pets. The staff is instructed to keep them entertained at all times. What they can't do is leave. They have almost zero contact with other kids their age. They're cut off from the outside world and spend most of their time with adults. They barely even see their parents. Sometimes Ivan plays hockey with his dad, right here in this building. The opponents are Putin's bodyguards, and of course they're expected to let the autocrat and his son win. There's also a private golf course, as well as a restaurant, a movie theater, a bowling alley, and a private casino. Confessions are taken on site at this private chapel. It's allegedly called Vladimirskaya Tserkov, which roughly translates to the Church of Saint Vladimir. According to Ilya's research, the family splits their summers between this designer villa near the Finnish border and this $100 million yacht. While millions of Russians live in poverty, Putin's inner circle lives in obscene luxury. And all this while Putin's official salary as head of state is just over $110,000 a year. His insane wealth comes from running a corrupt regime. Some of the properties he lives in are registered to state companies like Gazprom or loyal oligarchs. His $100 million yacht appears to be owned by a sanctioned offshore holding in the Virgin Islands. And the list just goes on and on. Putin bankrolls his son's gold-plated isolation with millions he's not supposed to have. A secret gilded cage, lavish, guarded, and off-limits to anyone but the heirs of a paranoid ex-KGB agent turned despot. He believes that it's the right thing to do, just to keep everything in secret. He keeps all the Russian government policies in secret. He keeps all his private details, private life in secret. That's how he operates, which is exactly why all the secrecy has to be exposed. People need to know what's really behind his carefully crafted statesman image. The public has a right to know how he's pouring public money into his private luxury. Putin doesn't serve the Russian state. The Russian state serves him. Ilya isn't chasing the story for tabloid headlines. That's why he's never published photos of the kids or overly specific details. To him, they're a symbol of how Putin is really running things. I believe that he's the wealthiest man on earth. Not because he built a global business empire, but because he controls a giant country. His sons will likely inherit a huge and formerly public fortune, but they're not being groomed to take over the Kremlin. They're still too young. Putin is 72. His eldest, Ivan, is only 10. And you have to be at least 35 to become president in Russia. So that means that his eldest son should spend 25 years more waiting for this position. And I don't think that Vladimir Putin would do still around in 25 years. Probably he would be still alive, but probably not in the office. Ilya is not the first to shine a light on the opulence surrounding the Russian ruler. In 2021, Alexei Navalny dropped a viral YouTube video exposing Putin's secret Black Sea palace. Navalny was one of Putin's fiercest critics. He barely survived a poisoning attempt in 2020 and was flown to Germany for treatment. He was arrested at the airport when he returned to Russia in early 2021. His palace video hit YouTube just 2 days later. It has racked up over 134 million views. It sparked the largest anti-Putin protests in years, despite a demonstration ban. Many of them were violently crushed. Navalny died in 2024 in a Siberian prison camp. Ilya knows the risk of reporting on Putin's secrets. There is a danger for me and my family. Probably at some point I would be followed. Probably at some point I'll have to move somewhere else and not disclose my location and just live quietly. But for now, it looks fine for me.